James, first of all, manager of AFC Fylde, just how delighted are you to be here at the club?
Yeah, really delighted. I had no ambition really to get in so quickly after my last role, but when David called, the chairman, we got on really well. First and foremost, it's a project here that perhaps isn't where we want it to be, so there's work to be done. I'm really excited to sign a 3-year deal and be here and hopefully get Fylde back into the National League as a minimum.
I think you look at the place and the facilities, also the squad that we've got here, does that almost make it an easy decision for you to come here?
Yeah, well, I had an operation, a slight operation I brought forward from the summer actually last week, so I'm hobbling around at the moment, so that gives you an indicator that I had no inkling that I was going to come back in at all. I'd spoken to a few clubs but told them the same, that I wasn't really interested for the summer. So as I said, when David called and when I looked at the project when I came down here, the facilities are magnificent for the level, and it's got massive potential here, and that's what I like. I like to change the culture of places, which I've done in my last 2 roles, and get results, and sometimes that might be a little bit of change management, a little bit of transformational leadership to get there, but as long as that's done the right way, which it has been done in the past, and it's done right here, I'm sure we can go places.
These first few days since arriving have probably been a little bit of a whirlwind for you. Just what have you been doing in these few days that you've been here, and what's it been like?
Well, trying to get good relationships with the players, which I pride myself on, and look, we've got a big squad here. Unfortunately, we've got quite a few injuries at the moment, but the job really in the short term is to make sure we get some confidence into the group. The 2 results out of the last 3 will give that, especially the 2 clean sheets, to build on the work that Jim's done, because the team's 4th. So it's a unique situation where normally you'd come into a role where, my last 2 roles, where Chesterfield were 22nd, second from bottom, and Gloucester were similarly down the bottom of the league when I went in there. So it's important that there's not too much change too early. You respect the work that's been done here, which has been some good work, but it's turning that good work into results.
I think one thing that supporters will want to know personally is what will you bring to the club as manager?
Drive, work ethic, respect both ways of the players, working with players individually and collectively, and as I said, results. But sometimes to get to that consistency of results, there has to be some changes, and it's weighing up over these first few weeks when I observe the environment what those changes will need to be to get those results, because we have to be realistic about our position. Obviously Gateshead and Brackley are flying, so for both of those to slip up now would be positive thinking, more than positive thinking for them to do that. So we have to be realistic about, okay, can we get in the highest position we possibly can and make sure the team's in form if we hit the playoffs.
We've touched on the quality that the squad has now. Is it about getting the best out of them and really kicking on in these last 13 games that we've got?
Yeah, definitely. And look, I came to the game last Saturday and there's some really good passages of play. The shape of the team was good and they dominated Bradford side, but we have to remember that we're Bradford are in the league. Also they played on Wednesday evening, so the team Fylde was a lot fresher. So we have to take those outliers into what I saw. But in general, apart from obviously Mark's injury, which is a real downer for us after we've obviously brought him into the club, great experienced striker. Other than that, it was a positive day.
You spoke about the short-term success, but one thing you mentioned when you came in early on in the week is a long-term foundation. Just what are they from your point of view?
Well, when I spoke to the chairman, it was important that we were aligned in terms of how long it would take on the timeline to get to where we want to be, and sometimes you need a bit of time to do that. It's not just going to change overnight, we've got to be realistic, but we have to look at what's been achieved the last 2.5 years on my own journey, my own personal journey, and be confident hopefully in what we can achieve here in the long run.
Obviously when you took over Chesterfield, they were near the bottom of the league and you got them to the top. Is that winning mentality something that you're looking to install quickly here?
Yeah, but you're only as good as your players and the relationships with your players, so the players need to take responsibility for that winning mentality and that winning culture. I'm sure with a few tweaks here and there in terms of their daily patterns of behaviours, in terms of when they're in, what they're doing during their time when they're in, to make sure it's productive and it's quality, not over quantity. We certainly had that in my last role, and that's why results were what they were for 15 months.
looking from the outside, obviously injuries have played a massive part this season for us. Probably explains why we're not doing as well as we probably should be. Is that just part and parcel of the game, and are you looking to maybe strengthen the squad in the coming weeks?
We always have to look at what type of injuries they are. So if they're impact injuries, a bit of bad luck. For example, Mark's injury on Saturday, you can't help that. That's a freak one. And so you have to obviously review that. And in terms of, is it a muscle injury, so they've been overworked, what's their load like? And obviously my background in sports science helps with that. It helps me have a good relationship with the medical team and the sports science team and understand where we need to be. So look, I need to review that and see how many were muscle injuries over the time period, and certainly going forward we want to obviously minimise those injuries.
Obviously tomorrow straight into the thick of things against Kidderminster, a good Kidderminster side. What can we expect from them going into the game?
High tempo, a really lively front four. They've scored a lot of goals this year. They've had a great run, and Russell's doing a good job there, more than a good job. So that's what we want to do. We want to be in games like that. It's a good test, and also it's fantastic we're playing in the first game because it gives me a really good indication of where we're at. And you would think that Kidderminster will obviously be up there at the end of the season, so we might cross paths again in the future. So it's good to see what the standard is like of a third place team that's got games in hand.
Our away form has actually been good of late, and Kidderminster has slightly dipped from the good run that they were on. Is it kind of a good opportunity to play them and maybe just stick the boot in a little bit?
It's always a good opportunity to play the teams at the top of the league, so these are the games we relish. It'll be, I would imagine, a good game for the level. I went to York on Tuesday evening, York versus Darlington. I was really impressed with the actual, first of all, the standard of the players, the intensity that they played, and the actual framework that they played in terms of the stadium, etc. I was really impressed with that, and I was impressed equally when I came here last Saturday in terms of the facilities here. So the level, similar to the National League, is getting more and more professional, and the gap between this level, the National League in general as a pyramid, and the AFL is definitely shortening. You can see that by some of the cup results this year as well.
Free coach travel tomorrow for the supporters going down. They are going down in the numbers, and that must be great for you to have that backing in your first game for AFC.
Yeah, it's really important that everywhere I've gone, it's important that the players, any new players that come in as well, have good relationships with the supporters, and that's important. I want to bridge a good relationship with the supporters. You can only do that by getting positive results and hitting those short, medium and long-term outcomes. I always say you need to inspire the support base, and that can only be done truly on the pitch. So hopefully over this period, going into the playoffs, we can make the playoffs, we'll be in really good form and give those players a right go. That's not to say that we're giving up on the league title, we definitely haven't. Until it's mathematically impossible, we won't give up on that target, but we have to be realistic about where we are.